And welcome back to Meeting of the Minds. Today I'm here with the great coach Brian Holman. Brian, thank you very much for joining us.
Gene, I appreciate it. Careful how you use that word. Great. Just want to thank you for having me on. And one thing I want to tell you, the one thing I did well was wrestle, and I have so much admiration for you guys that for me, you guys are the toughest guys in sports. So great to be with you, and looking forward to hearing what we could put together here today.
Absolutely. And it's, that mindset, that's one of those things that permeates all sports. And when you're really trying to be the best, or even if not trying to be the best, just trying to excel at a high level, you need to have that mindset. And I'm sure you see that all the time.
I mean, honestly, what we talk about all the time here at Utah is that's probably the most critical piece of the game at this point in time. We have four pieces of development here for our athletes. It's spiritual, it's tactical, it's physical, and it's mental. And we try to spend an equal amount of time on all of those, Gene, but the mental piece I find more and more to be the area where we've got to continue to focus and work on. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we always say that lacrosse or any sport is like 90% mental, but then when you look at the preparation, it's the opposite. It's like 90% physical. So it's really just bridging that gap. So we're working both hard and smart, right? Everyone's working hard, but who's working efficiently and economically? And as you said, approaching it from a holistic approach.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think the one thing that I find fascinating about it is you can craft a sort of a general philosophy of how we want to coach the mental piece of it, but every athlete right now is a little bit different, and I think it's incumbent on our staff and me, and this is the area I probably spend more time with than anything else now in my coaching career. The X's and O's, I've got a great staff, guys that really know the game, and they can create situations where our guys can be successful on the field. But I feel my calling now as a head coach is to really spend time in their heads and find out what they're thinking and how they're thinking it, and teaching them methods to break old habits. A lot of this is just habitual. A lot of it they don't know, and they haven't been taught, right, to how to process information and to build a foundation of choices, which is really a lot of what the mental piece of it is you can choose to overcome a lot of things, or you can choose to let them overcome you, right? And so yeah, it's a fascinating piece. I'm learning more and more each day, and it's probably where I spend most of my time as a head coach on right now. Gene, I lost you there, bud. I think you're on mute.
I muted myself while you were speaking, so you didn't hear any background.
All right.
But I pulled this up because I wanted to get your expertise on this. These are some of the common mental mistakes, or red flags, as we call them in lacrosse. I'm sure you have seen a ton more, but are these some of the things you're talking about?
Yeah. I mean, we could probably spend an hour on each bullet point there. But yeah, it's just take the top two. And these things are really interesting because they're masked in the sense of fear of sort of retribution. Okay, so take the first one. Doesn't take enough risks on the field. Well, you're encouraging your guys to play fearless. You're encouraging them to take chances. You're encouraging them to we have common themes in our program. No fear, right? But what does that mean? But what happens is maybe they take a few risks and they fail. Okay. Now, as a coach, you have to make sure that they clearly understand where the boundaries are of where the risks need to be taken, right? And if you don't do that, and then they take these risks and then they fail, and then you're getting on them about throwing the skip pass at this point in time, then the confusion sets in, right? And they're like, well, thought I was supposed to take a risk, but now you're getting on me. So that's incumbent on the coaches. Now, the other piece that is incumbent on the players, Gene, is they, they'll tell their parents, okay, or their teammates, well, I'm not going to take any risk because coach is going to yell at me. All right. And coach is going to bench me or coach. So they've already built in this excuse mechanism for them not to step outside that shell. So it's an easy thing to say, go ahead and take risks. It's another thing to manage the players as they're working through this taking risk process, right? So that's something you have to be careful about as a coach. Worried about letting their teammates down for sure. Like, I don't want to do the wrong thing because, I want to uphold my end of the bargain. And you could go down that list but if you look at the list and you really analyze where it's coming from a place of insecurity. It's coming from a place of these are probably things that they've been told since they've been 8 years old playing sports, right? So now they're 18 and they've got 10 or 11 years of this built up. You just don't erase it with some magic formula. So it's kind of re-engineering their thought process and their mindset towards success versus trying to avoid failure, right? And that's what a lot of these guys are geared to do. They're just trying to avoid failure so they don't do anything, and then they'll blame it on something else. And what we want them to do is choose success, right? Choose progress, choose the no fear. And the fear is only going to become from what you build up in yourself and in your mind. So I don't know. It sounds convoluted, but it's, it's a constant work with these guys.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And I would assume it's gotten even tougher since the social media era, where now it's all Instagram and Twitter, and they're getting constant feedback, where a lot of these athletes are little mini celebrities in their pond, right? So it's not wanting to be let down even more because there's more eyes on me.
Yeah, no doubt. And the other piece that you touched on there, Gene, that I think that is very real right now is that everything is instant, right? All they're looking at on Instagram and whatever other media, I don't have any of it. So I have no Twitter, I have no Instagram, none of that. Doesn't make me right or wrong. Just my mind doesn't go there. It's instant. They're just looking at people doing successful things and things that are outstanding. And well, that's not real. Okay. There's hours and hours and hours and hours of work that have gone into that play being made. And it's a mindset of where, all right, I'm going to try this once or twice. And if it ain't working for me, coach, then we got to do something else. And so digging your heels in and really, really weathering the storm and going through the pitfalls to finally break through some of those barriers is an area that we constantly have to encourage these guys to kind of lock in on. And just because you do something twice and it doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean it's the wrong thing, right? And that you give it up and you move on to the next thing. You think about how many hours you practiced a certain move in wrestling, like endless, right? And it probably took you years and years and years to master one move, an escape move or a takedown that nobody sees on Instagram or Twitter. All right. So it is a problem.
Yeah. And how do you think, what are some of the ways you've gone about addressing that over time? And I'd assume a lot of it is just self-awareness. Like the athletes that are willing to be honest with themselves and take a deep look on the inside, they're going to have more success.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. We do a lot of areas of reflection, and we do a lot of areas. I call it, just food for the soul. We talk about our guys, and we have them, be able to explain about like what's inside them. Who are they? What kind of person do you want to be? And until you have a sense of self, it's really, really hard to go outside of yourself, right? So, you know, we have a cool exercise that we've done since we've gotten out here. Every Wednesday as a team, we meet for an hour. We call it our sanctuary. And it really has nothing to do with lacrosse. It has to do, now this year with COVID, we haven't had it, and we've really missed it. And it's hard to do on Zoom because it's such a personal thing. You know, you can see each other, touch each other, see the emotions in people's eyes and faces. And it's centered around a lot of different things. But most of what I'm searching for in that sanctuary time is guys being themselves, opening up to their teammates of faults, things that they question. You know, why does this happen? We've had guys that share stories of things in their past with, you know, drug and alcohol abuse. And so I think a large part of this mental fortitude is built through really owning who this person is. What's this entity, you know, and is it more than just an entity that can score goals? You know, who am I behind? Because if the goal scoring isn't there, are you still going to be an entity, right? Or is it all hinged upon success on the field? And if that's taken away or you're not achieving it, what are you going to fall back on? And so the sanctuary time for our team has been incredible for growth as young men and staff. I learn something new every time I'm in there, and about myself and about my team. And it's really been beneficial in our growth process.
That's excellent. As you said in the beginning about the importance of addressing the full person, spirit, mind, body, and all of the great spiritual masters, the saints, they were very big on self-examination.
Yeah.
And we apply that to our lives now. It's, of course, our personal lives, academics, athletics, not looking at it one-dimensional. I know it's kind of being a little bit of a broken record here, but it's true. Being able to go to those deep places and saying,
Yeah.
who am I? And what am I trying to accomplish? And more importantly, why?
And again, you're spot on. If there is no why, there will be no what if or what can I do or whatever. And I think that's probably the number one piece of, that's probably the area we tackle first. Like, I have a saying that I use in our camps and our clinics for all these young kids. And, you know, there's a big difference between I wanna and I'm gonna, okay? You know, in the lacrosse world, all the kids in Baltimore and New York or wherever they're playing all want to go play D1, right? I want to play for Hopkins or Syracuse, or one day it's going to be Utah and North Carolina. But are you gonna do everything in your power and commit your whole life, mentally, physically, spiritually, and tactically, to make this a reality? A lot of kids, once the first rubber hits the road, that wanna is right out the window because they have no why. Like, why am I doing this? Well, you know, my parents wanted me to do it, or, you know, I was a good high school player, or it's something I really thought I wanted, right? And if you don't have that why embedded into your heart and your soul, you're not going to achieve the highest levels. That's for sure. That's a given, right? And B, it's not going to be any fun, right? You know, because there's nothing driving the train. It's you know, it's selfish wants and selfish desires early on. All right. But once that's over with, what's next? Yeah. So it's a cool piece of it. And a lot of kids get it. Some of them don't, right? But the guys that have achieved at the highest levels, they have to have it because you can't get there without it.
Right. We often talk about the word behave, and the word behave is two words, be and have. And it has to be the right order. Most people focus on what they want to have, but you must first focus on the person you need to be to have those things. And that's all tied in with the why, I think.
No doubt. No doubt about it. Yep.
And that why, the thing is, even if an athlete says, well, there are these athletes or these movie stars or singers that are able to do it without the why, well, unfortunately, a lot of those people might be depressed or hooked on drugs and they're miserable. Their life's in shambles. So what good is that? presumably trying to be successful and also be happy at the same time. And most importantly, as you said, being a good quality person, a virtuous person.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, look, you know, we're here to teach and educate, not here to win lacrosse games. And I know everybody wants to win. I mean, I've won my whole life. I've played in 4 national championship games. I've coached in a bunch. I've won them as a coach or whatever. But at the end of the day, we're here to educate, and we're here to help these young men develop that sense of self. All right, that sense of why, that armor. I call it just putting on more armor. You know, and most of that armor, Gene, as you know, as a wrestler, comes from failing. And the problem, a big problem we have in our society today is, again, there's an allure of success that seems easy because it's just plastered all over the place. There's an allure that success will lead you to happiness, which is not true, because if you can't define what that success is, then you'll never be happy, right? And then here's another problem, and this may not go over well with some of your viewers, is, you know, I had a friend of mine talk about this the other day and coaching, saying that, man, these kids are just different. The kids have changed. The kids have, and I go, I disagree. I think the kids are still the kids. I think the parents have changed a lot. And there's that piece where there's a fear of parents of letting their kids fall down and get hurt, and letting their kids not make the A team and figure out, well, I'm on the B team, then I really want to be on the A team. Then that why starts to become clearer to the kid that's on the B team, right? And I don't know if you have kids or not. And you know, one of the greatest struggles you'll ever have in your life is to allow your kid to fail and not want to run in there and rescue them. But we're doing such disservice to our kids right now of just trying to make everything right all the time, because it ain't. It's not, when you get out there in the world, it's not right all the time. And so you know, part of my job here is to get kids to understand that failure is part of the process, and why is there failure, and what can I do about it to fix it, and what am I willing to do to fix it. And so I don't know if that was on the line of what you were talking about, but you know.
Now that's right on point. And especially we've all learned that in this past year. If ever, we've learned about adversity, and adversity is going to happen. Losses, failures, problems, challenges, whatever you want to call them. It's so important that we adjust the way that we think about that to being more realistic and accepting. This is a part of life, so we better learn how to deal with it.
100%, 100%. And that's why I don't buy into the whole, you know, again, I'm tired of hearing about COVID. It is what it is. Like, I feel horrible for the people that have suffered. I had it myself, and that piece of it is a totally separate piece. But, you know, we have 2 really strong terms, mantras, if you might want to call them, in our program. One is no excuses, and the other one is find a way. And, you know, if you hear coaches talk, a lot of times they'll say, man, we found a way to come back, or we found a way to fight through the adversity. And, you know, since the day I've come out here at Utah, that has been a constant message to our kids, that, you know, we will accept no excuses. Okay. And if once you stop making excuses in your life, you're going to continue to find a way to move forward with whatever the piece of it is that you're struggling with. And I give a little exercise to our guys when they first get here, to go out into the world, class, community, whatever it is, have a little notebook with you or your phone, and really listen to people as you're engaging in conversation. And that's another art that we work a lot of time, a long and hard time with, is actually listening to people, paying attention to their body language, looking them in the eye, hearing what they have to say, and not preconceiving your answer right before they're finished, but hearing people, and then make a note of how many excuses you hear on a consistent basis. And our guys, after they do it and we meet, they're like, Coach, everybody's making excuses all the time. I'm like, yeah, I know. Okay, that's part of a problem we have right now, pointing fingers and making excuses. So, but, you know, to your point with COVID, our approach this year with the season was, It is not going to define us. We are going to define it. Okay. And your life is going to be different. Your social life has to change. Your mentality to wearing a mask has to change. If it doesn't, it's going to define you. So get on board, right? We're going to beat COVID, and then we'll beat the next opponent that we have to play. And it's in that priority. And the last piece to that, Gene, sorry for talking so long, but
This is great.
these all go hand in hand, is from the day that we came out here, the platform that we tried to provide for our athletes was, life is a daily effort. It's not a way. You can have goals and you can have dreams and you can have visions of what you want your life to look like, but every single day you have to get up and master it. And so our approach to Utah Lacrosse is day by day. Just be the best version of a Utah lacrosse player you possibly can be today. Now, what does that entail? That entails, are you devoting some time to the spiritual aspect of your life, your self-reflection and your maybe meditation or whatever it is? Are you devoting some time to the physical aspect? Are you eating the proper food during the day? Are you getting that rest that you need? The mental aspect of the game, are you working on those areas, the physical aspect, et cetera, right? So and if you do devote that time every day, the odds are that you're going to have a successful day, right? And if you didn't have a successful day, what piece of that puzzle didn't you devote time to, or it didn't work out well for you? And then analyze that, put your head on the pillow, wake up the next day and do it again, right? So when COVID hits, the big mantra of COVID was, wow, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? Well, I've been telling that to our guys day one, because tomorrow is out there. And if I'm a very spiritual person. I spend a lot of time, God's number one in my life, and my family is number two, and my players and my program is number three. And if you just go to the Bible and, just take some passages out, tomorrow will be what tomorrow is, and yesterday is gone. And today it's God calls upon you to be your best version. And I think that really helped us through COVID. I didn't sense a lot of our guys really freaking out over it, and over the summer when we were on Zoom calls as a team, it was brought up constantly by our guys, like, Coach, you always tell us it's day by day, and that's how we live, right? And so not that I have the answers, but I think some of the processes we put in place as a program has really helped us navigate through the COVID issue totally. So.
Absolutely. And you're right. It's just staying in that present moment. Of course, learn from the past. Of course, plan for the future.
Yep.
But the majority of your focus is in that present moment. Thinking back to the Bible also with the man who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is not worthy of me. Remember Lot's wife.
That's right.
You have to be eyes on the front, oriented towards what you can control.
That's right.
Tomorrow's
100%.
worries will be tomorrow's worries. There's enough for the day.
There's enough, right? And it's skipping my mind right now, but going back to your mental piece, all right, we talk about the precious present, right? That's a huge piece of where these guys are off base. We work on the breath control, an exercise that we did now in a lot of our huddles in practice is calling timeouts and bringing guys in and just for the first 30 seconds, just having them close their eyes and just try to feel their feet just on the ground. Like, this is where you are right now. And again, I didn't invent this stuff. It's stuff that I've learned but it does work, like just kind of centering ourselves, not worrying about what the next play is going to be. You're not worried about that. I just pissed the ball away 10 minutes ago, because none of that stuff really matters. We're here now. Like, what are we going to do with it? And some guys, it's really fun to watch. They get it like right away, and you can see it working in there. And other kids are, they don't get it, and it's a process. But yeah, anyhow.
No, you're right on. And I think most kids are yearning for that, to be where their feet are, to live in the present moment. I think most of us, as we've said multiple times during this, that we're so programmed by society to be thinking about the past or the future or external factors. Yeah. And we need to relearn that, how to be in the present moment. And there's almost no better way of doing that than taking deep breaths and just get yourself back to the present moment, because you can't necessarily control the racing thoughts, the jitters, the sweaty palms, but you can control your breath. And
Yeah.
then from there, other things tend to follow.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. Just read something the other day. It's, you know, it's the first thing you do when you're born. It's the last thing you're going to do when you die. Right. And so, you know, obviously it has an important factor in our lives because without it, we're not here. So, yeah.
Oh, Coach, great stuff. I feel like I could talk to you for hours about this. I love everything you're sharing. Where do we send people to get more information for Utah lacrosse?
I don't, like I said, I don't have a Twitter and Instagram. So if people want to email me, I'm good with that. It's bholman@huntsman.utah.edu. But yeah, I love talking about this. It's my life. And I learn something new every day from guys like you and reading up. And I think it's really cool now where it's become a part of the actual process of our sporting lives. You know, one thing I'm not a big fan of is, you know, I tell our guys all the time, you go on the internet, like Google, whatever, I want to be a better person. And there's this instant 10 ways to be a better person or 5 ways. These are the 5 things you need to do. I'm not a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in just understanding that life's going to throw a lot of curveballs at you. And, you know, I'm 60 years old. I feel like I'm 30 and I'm learning something new every day about sports and athletes and the mind, the power. And I just find it so invigorating. And I think if I'm raising a young kid today, that's probably I'm going to spend much more time with my kids in that arena than probably the physical piece, because the physical piece will eventually kind of take care of itself. Once the damage is done on the mental piece, it's really hard to unwind a lot of that. And I think it's prohibiting a lot of our kids just to really go out and have fun and play sports and not worry about what team they're on or how much they're winning by. So I appreciate your time, Gene. I really do. And love being on here with you.
Thank you so much, Coach. Great information. A lot of gold nuggets of information. We're going to put the links for Utah lacrosse on the show notes. And
Cool.
Thank you again. God bless you. God bless your family.
Same to you, buddy. Thank you so much. God bless. Take care.
Take care, Coach.
Bye.
Bye.